Right. Have any of you been to this before?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Here I did. Tell me if I go wrong. Right. If you don't know, I earn my living, or have earned my living, for the last sort of 50 years modelling for other people, and I've become fairly well known for my track laying. And I'm one of the very few people, it seems, that lay track and ballast it in one hit. And it's commercially, it makes more sense than doing any other way. I've never done a job where I've deep ballasted. It's just a waste of the customer's money and my time. So all the stuff that I've done over the last probably 40 years has been based on a thin track base. And it got to the stage with O-gauge, I was doing so much track that I commissioned my own base, and that's my own track. And what I get on a shot is a 3-bolt and a 2-bolt chair. It's like on an H, so I've got just one shot. I've got two lots which have to be separated. So that's based on my own track. I have a huge chunk of aluminium and have to load the stuff up individually and clamp it to draw the rail through. But although it costs more for the customer per metre, at the time I've laid it, he will get his money back by 6-fold. I mean, because it can be laid so quickly. What I'm going to do is show you just how I lay this bit. I have to say this bit's been laid about 6 times already. It's the same piece I lay every year, but the base has been redone. What we've got here is a it was 3mm foam. I think it's a bit of thin gash stuff. I think it's slightly thinner than 3mm, but normally I'll use a 3mm foam. I'll cover the whole area with foam that I'm going to put track on. All the track that I'm going to lay is actually laid out dry on the foam everywhere. And then anything like the shoulder, I will form once I've got the track sorted. And usually by running a knife, I mean, it has to be like a Swan Morton with a brand new blade, and you run it down to the ankle and then peel the excess foam off. So that would happen on like a massive layout where you've got all the track laid out, all dry, and you sort all the foam out, so you've got your shoulders and everything all presented. The next job is to put the cess in. And this is like a scatter. Funny enough, I use so much of it, I make it up myself. It's actually a wood flower scatter, and I dye it because I actually used kilos of the stuff over the years. That's put on first, because when you put the ballast on, you want it to go over the cess. If you try and put the cess on after, you'll get all this stuff into the ballast, and it just looks messy, you know. Normally, when I'm doing track, I tend to control the glue to stop it going into the cess. I find I'm quite lucky actually that I can actually cut a line. Like if I'm decorating a room, it's me that cuts the edge with a fairly big brush. So I'm quite lucky that I can do that. But for this demo, what I'm going to do is to put some tape, masking tape down the edge, so it's quicker for the demonstration. The masking tape won't stick that well, and it shouldn't lift any of the, or hardly any of the cess away, but it just makes it easier to put some glue on. So you've got all the preparation done. If you've got points, you have to put your holes in first of all. You know exactly where your points are. Put all your holes in the baseboard. What I tend to do is make little squares of foam and cut round the square, peel the damaged bit of foam out, replace it with a new piece, and then make a little slot in the middle where the control control wire comes up. So everything is prepped. There's nothing, hopefully nothing left to do. The other thing you need is a vacuum cleaner. I don't need one here because I'm going to tip it. I've sold probably, indirectly, probably about 8 to 10 Henrys. The good thing with a Henry, I won't look at Chris, the good thing with a Henry is in O gauge you will not lift the ballast with anything weaker than a good solid vacuum cleaner. And the good thing about a Henry is you can do masses of track. You can get 20 kilos of ballast in the bottom of a Henry without the filter. You leave the filter in but take the bag out. So the bin collects all this ballast. And I say I've had 20 kilos of ballast. You can't lift the vacuum cleaner, but it's, you don't have to stop work to empty the vacuum. The other thing you need, this doesn't look like a good brush, but I'm sure this is one of my older brushes, but it's a good quality bristle. So I take my own brushes to customers. Say, oh, I've got some brushes for you. I've got a whole set for £2.50. And it's like, the brush has got no strength at all. You've got to be able to control the glue. You've got to be able to move the glue. The glue's like treacle, so you've got to have a good brush. This is Builder's PVA. Fed Bond, which I recommended originally, disappeared off the market, but it's finally come back in a decent form. This I just tend to, when it comes out, I've got a more full one at home. You see, it's like it's got a texture to it. It's got a nice texture to it, so it spreads easily. It doesn't run everywhere. See, I'm just going to put a little drop of oil on. The thing is, you don't want to overdo it, but you can't underdo it. You want to be able to have the glue needs to be seen to be white and not. You don't want to see through it too much. If you've got registration marks, which I very often have underneath, you need to be able to see those. So if you've got like if you're laying a bit of track that's stopped somewhere, you need to be able to see like a black ballpoint mark underneath. You can see that's fairly.
Can I stop you a minute, Paul?
Yeah.
Could we move round a little bit because we've got people outside who can't
There's a
get in.
queue. There's a queue. Sorry. I show you. Okay. If I show you that's the sort of amount you need. It's you can see through it, but it's a nice even colour, and it's not globs everywhere. It's all even. That's any less than that, and it will tend to dry out faster than you can work it. Right, if I just remove those from there. You can see where we're coming from now. That I would normally do control with the brush. A little bit into the cess helps a bit because it's only back, probably be pre-grouping where you've got like prize lengths where you could actually eat your dinner off the cess. I'm going to do is lay the track in that. Okay, you just make sure that everything's okay. What I tend to do normally is staple it. That holds the track down. If you put weights on it, it doesn't dry under the weight. If you put a staple on, if you look down it, I can see that that's got a slight curve on it. And I'll just straighten that up.
But if you've got yards of the stuff, at this stage you do quite a lot of adjustment to get it all as you want to.
Well, most of the track doesn't move once you've set it up dry.
You put
so
the track up before you put the glue down, yes?
Yeah, you've got the whole area, and you've laid it out dry, and you break it into sections, move it away, paint the stuff down, put it back, and then move on. I mean, I would do like a rolling road, as it were. So I'm gluing ballast, removing more glue, more ballast, and just
And how
going
big
on.
an area do you think is sensible to glue at one time?
Sorry?
How big an area would you glue at one time?
Depends on the weather. 6 metres.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, just get it. I mean, pour it out and get it on. Right, this is ballasting. Just get it on. Make sure it's nicely firm, and then within 10 minutes, get your vacuum cleaner on it. Don't touch the ballast. If you use a vacuum cleaner with a nozzle, you run the nozzle along the rail and maybe run it along the cess, but you don't touch the ballast. Because as soon as you touch the ballast, you wreck it. Okay? That's it. Done. That's basically how all my track is laid. You can see there's like little excess bits of glue and that, and you just go along and tamp it around. If you need to move it, you can move it in the glue. If you leave little white bits by moving it too much, you can pour more ballast on. If it rucks up the other side, you can just tamp it down. You've got probably several hours now before that goes off, where you can keep adjusting it, making sure it's nice and smooth and everything else. But that's basically how quick I tend to lay track. One of the reasons for using this grey foam is because I was finding I was using black foam, and if the ballast is a bit thin, you can see through it. So I wanted something which is a similar colour to the ballast. So if it's a bit thin in places, you don't really notice it. If you get a gap somewhere where the glue's gone off before you've got there, the answer is to scrape it back from the foam so you've got a nice clear patch, and patch that with glue, but you don't touch the ballast that's already there. You actually just fill that hole and then spread more ballast on, especially when it's dry, because if you get glue on top of that ballast, you'll get a lump. It will just keep building up. But you can see that, forget the old wetting it in the eyedropper and all the rest of the stuff. That's it. The other little word I would say is most people tend to use the wrong size ballast. I specify the ballast that I get from Geoscenics. He supplies Pico and various other people, but he supplies them with a particular size that I don't use. If you mic up ballast, it should be equivalent to 2 inches. That was the old standard. It should go through a 2-inch hoop. So you've only got to put a micrometer on it, and you can, a few lumps, and you'll see whether it's right or not. And this is as near as I can get to right throw gauge. And a lot of customers who are doing their own ballasting, if they go to Geoscenics, all they've got to do is to ask for the grade that I have, and he will know the number. It's as simple as that.